One question I get quite often up at the Airsoft Arena is, when do I have a chance to play Airsoft? And to be perfectly honest with you, most of the time I'm pretty busy with running the place and making sure everything's working properly and getting guns for people and whatever, that I don't get very many opportunities to get out there. Although lately on Thursday nights I've been trying to make an effort to get out and play a few games with the people that are up there, because it's a little bit of a smaller crowd and it gives me a little more of a chance to get out because I'm not worrying about so many people all at once. But also there's a lot of guys that are my age that have been showing up on those nights. So for those of you older guys that want to play, you know, with people your own age, Thursday nights is really a good night to get out and try it out. That way you're not tripping over a lot of smaller people up at the arena. Another question I get quite often up at the Airsoft Arena, which is actually a number of different questions that are all kind of the same question, is when do hits count? Like things like friendly fire or ricochets or weapon hits, do those count as hits? And I think it really depends on what your motivation is when you're playing Airsoft. Now, one group of people that I run into up at the Airsoft Arena all the time are the guys that consider themselves to be Milsimers. And if you've never heard that word before, they're pretty much guys that are into military simulation, where they want to be as accurate as possible recreating what the military guys do. So they want their outfits and their uniforms to look correct. They want to have all the proper weaponry and, you know, all the accoutrements. They want it to look as realistic as possible. Now, the Milsimers, in my opinion, fall into two categories, where there's the guys that want to look like they're Milsimers, and then there's the guys that actually act like Milsimers. A lot of guys will show up with the full outfit that looks really realistic with the plate carrier and the fast helmet and all that kind of stuff, but then they'll whip out a Polar Star with a high capacity magazine and a modified speed trigger on it so that they can blast out so many billion rounds per second without even going full auto. And it gives them this huge advantage over everybody else, which to me is completely unrealistic. You know, those guys might consider themselves to be Milsimers, but you know, they're really just kidding themselves. And you know, that's fine if you want to play with a huge advantage. If that's what you need to play Airsoft, that's okay. It's allowed up at our Airsoft Arena. Just quit kidding yourself thinking that you're actually a Milsimer. Now, of course, there's the other guys that I think are the real Milsimers that can show up in just jeans and a t-shirt, because I think it's more about how you actually play the game than how you look when you get there. So these guys are using gas blowback guns because they actually have to cycle the action. They have limited magazine capacity with just 30 round mid-cap magazines, so they only have 30 bullets and then they have to change magazines, which puts you at a huge disadvantage. And I think that's why those kind of guys play the game, is because they want to be as realistic as possible. They're not looking for some BS edge, you know, to give themselves a super high capacity magazine or to give themselves a speed trigger or a dual sector gear or whatever. The edge is their tactical ability and their ability to flank a guy or to get an angle on somebody and hit their target. And to me, that's what makes a Milsimer a Milsimer. Now, what this Milsim business has to do with calling hits is you find a lot of the guys that are the real Milsimers to call any kind of hit a hit, whether it's direct fire, indirect fire, a ricochet, friendly fire, something that was a weapon hit. You know, they'll call themselves out for any of those because they know in the real world that if you get shot by your own guy on your own team, you're just as dead as if you got shot by the enemy, and that ricochets can blow your arm off just as much as a shot right in front of you can do it. So they call all of those hits hits, where the kind of pseudo Milsimers will split hairs and say, well, that was a ricochet, or that was friendly fire, that shouldn't count. You know, if you really care what other people think of you, and I'm not saying you should go around in life worrying about how the rest of the world perceives you, but if you care what people think about you or how people are going to talk about you, if you're an airsofter that calls all your hits, I think people are going to have a hell of a lot more respect for you than somebody that goes in there that's constantly splitting hairs. Oh, that wasn't an actual hit. That hit the wall before it hit me. Or, oh, you hit my weapon before, you know, it didn't actually hit me, it hit the weapon. Well, you know, in an airsoft game, if your weapon's out, you're out. Unless you've got a backup, you know, you could go to your sidearm. We don't allow full contact in there, so you can't go and, you know, go back to your kung fu and, like, you know, go ahead and go hand-to-hand combat with the guy. So in essence, your weapon's out, you're out, okay? So look at it that way. Now, of course, I have to understand as a business owner and the guy that runs the Airsoft Arena that the number of guys that come to play Airsoft that are hardcore, that want to be the real Milsimers, are very few and far between. The majority of people that come in there are just coming to, you know, for a few laughs, and they're not really interested in, you know, complete accuracy with all this stuff. So I have to take that into consideration when we're making the rules for how you play Airsoft at our arena. So we sort of leave it up to you as the player to make those determinations with those gray area hits, ricochets, weapons, you know, weapon hits, friendly fire. That's up to you. And, you know, like I said, I think it just goes to your own personal honesty. And if you really enjoy the game and, you know, if you want to make friends, you might want to call all those hits. So if all this sounds kind of interesting and you want to experience this for yourself, feel free to come on down to the arena and try it out. Like I said, Thursday nights is the best nights if you want to hang with a little more of a mature crowd. But we are open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And each night's a little bit different as far as the vibe and the crowd and the kind of people that are there. So you kind of need to come down all nights, you know, and sort of experience them for yourself and see which one you fall into, you know, if you have a particular crowd that you feel a little more comfortable with. If you want more information on the arena, go to our website at replayairsoft.com and click on the Airsoft Arena link and check it out for yourself. And hopefully we'll see you soon. So until then, don't let the bastards get you down.